Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Hello and welcome. Yes, welcome to Pertinent Questions on Western Spring Television. Aduke Obelawo. It is my first as alternate producer of this program, and so I can't afford to say happy birthday to, rather, happy new year to everybody who is a viewer of this program. Yes, incidentally, my co-presenter has the 1st of January as his birthday, so if I decide to call it a birthday, I'm not 100% wrong. This is the first time we're coming your way in the new year, which is 8 days old. All I can say is that it shall be well and profitable to us all by the grace of God. We will waltz through the year, 365 days, 8 of which we have spent with a confidence and a hope that is anchored on God. My guest on the program today is a lady. She's one woman who is of many parts. In both secular and unsecular fields of endeavor, she has proven to be able to hold her head straight. Mrs. Aduke Obelawo is my guest on P&Q, Pertinent Questions. She is the Osun State Coordinator, I should say. Rather, she is the Osun CSDA Information, Communication, Training, and ICT officer in charge. That's not the only field. She is also a lady who is into gender mainstreaming. She's a lady who loves to empower the girl child and everybody in particular. She's also a pastor. She runs a church. She's a mother and a grandmother, I should say. Mrs. Aduke Obelawo, you're most welcome to Pertinent Questions.
Thank you so much, sir. Good afternoon, and very well done.
Thank you. Today, we want to look, I'm more or less going to be in the conversation mode, because I will try to touch as many parts. I've described you in about 4 or 5 different parts, a woman of those parts. And I want to pick on at least one aspect of each for our presentation today. Let me say Happy New Year to you.
Thank you, sir. The same from me.
Right. What are harmful traditional practices affecting homes and in particular children? What are they?
Thank you so much, sir. When we talk of harmful traditional practices, we are talking about the practices that are passed down by our forebearers. From generation to generation, these practices are passed down. They are construed, do I say, they are preconstrued in a situation of ignorance.
Okay.
They never knew they are going to be harmful to the people. So when you talk of harmful traditional practices, we are talking about practices that are detrimental to the growth, to the development, and to the life of individuals, especially women and children.
Now, these traditional practices, do they, you mentioned especially women and children, that presupposes that men also are affected. or boys, I should say. Is that so?
And when you talk of traditional practices, you know, we are in a patriarchal society where we see men as being superior to women, right from the time of our fathers. In fact, they are the one that brought us to the level we are, because they felt that because you are a woman, because you are a girl, you cannot be equal with the man or the boy, the male child. And so it doesn't affect men so much as it affects women, because all those practices, they are put in place to checkmate women, to put them at the background, you know, to subjugate them. But as we go by life, as we go by this development, societies are changing. These practices were discovered to be, why are we here? So many of them, you know, for instance, in the past, you know, when you are born this part of Nigeria, you have to carry some marks on your face.
It didn't matter whether you were a boy or a girl.
It didn't matter whether you are a boy or you are a girl. But as time goes on, we discover that it is no longer relevant. You know, what is the meaning of the marks? And if you have our father, they say, they will tell you that so that you will not get lost. Maybe it is what you find that you know that that you can say, okay, I'll find it. If you get lost and they don't see you, where would they see the mark that is on your face? We now grow to that level that we discover that this is irrelevant in this generation. And so it died naturally like that, even without nobody campaigning about it. And it died naturally because it affects men and women, boys and girls. That's why I said, when you talk of traditional practices, it affects the female gender
more. Because with boys or the male gender, you have only been able to tell us about facial marks.
Okay, there are so many of them.
Are there some others? Tell us.
Oh, there are many others. For instance, now, widowhood malpractices. Female genital mutilation is one of the harmful traditional practices. Wife battering. You know, you use your wife, you see your wife as a commodity. You know, as someone, you equate, in some cases, you equate your woman, your wife to your child, to your children. The way you can discipline your children, the way you can deal with your children, you deal with your wife. You know, many others like disinheritance. She's never profitable in the father's house, in the mother's house, in the husband's house. They say women are not to inherit anything. Even where there is no male child, you know, they prefer it like that, you know, that you don't inherit. They will look for someone somewhere that's a male that is related to you in one way or the other to be entitled to the inheritance. Okay, cousin. You know, so women are not allowed to inherit things, even owning of properties. Whatever you own in those days, in the olden days, you are not permitted under your husband's wife watch to have properties because of our tradition. How could you have property? How could you build house before your husband built house?
It was an abomination.
It was an abomination. You know, like child labor. You know, we said against women and children. When you talk of children, it affects boys, it affects girls as well. So when you talk of traditional practice like child labor, you see a child that's supposed to be in school, hawking from morning till evening, you know, from one village to the other. You see them at the motor park, you see them at, and you throw them into the labor market at an age where we're supposed to work for them and make sure that they get the right footings in life. So there are many of them. I talk of tribal mark. I talk of, you know, there is what we call body scarification. Body scarification, like the one. They now modernize it to call it tattoo.
Tattoo, yes.
They call it tattoo now. You know, they are harmful traditional practices.
If they were harmful, would the younger generation turn it from scarification to tattoo?
They are harmful.
No, I'm trying to ask that question.
Yes, we listen together. They are harmful because anything that brings out blood from your body is harmful. So many things can be introduced into your system unknowingly. You know, but you know, our boys, the generation that we are in, everything they see, why are they wearing rags? We are there wearing rags, and they call it crazy jeans. They just fit anyhow and they behave anyhow. So
that is not a traditional thing.
It is. The one I'm talking about is traditional thing.
Yeah, I'm getting your point.
It's traditional. When you, in fact, when you give birth to a baby, be it a man, I mean a boy or a girl, you must have some traditional mark. So that anytime they want to circumcise that boy or that girl, someone must come around to collect the blood in form of marks on your face. If you look at my face very well, you see some of the marks I have on my body. It is a collection of blood because of the one that is being circumcised, so that it will not be too painful, out of ignorance. Ignorance. So most of these traditional practices we are talking about, they are preconstrued in situation of ignorance. There is nobody to question it. They just pass it down. And when you ask, why are we into these practices? They will say, they will tell you, it's our father's tradition.
Yeah, in those days.
In those days.
With this scralination that we spoke of, it was always used to know where Mama Aduke came from. You are not a young lady. Where you came from, sometimes they will put there the town that the person came from.
They even put dates. And because of the fact that most of the circumcisers, they are illiterate, sometimes they
turn it over.
They want to write 1960. They will write 60, 19, you know, things like that. And come to think of it, who will now open my body to see the mark? They are there, including my tummy. And the man that did it, after doing it, he put okay. Okay, that is satisfied. From my chest down like this. They are traditional practices. Someone just sat down somewhere and felt that this thing, we must be doing it. And without questioning the person, the source, or the...
No, it was a concept, it was an idea to
beautify.
No, not necessarily beautify, but to make sure that the society didn't lose its creme de la creme.
Creme de la creme. But when we are talking of life...
I'm not holding brief for it.
I know.
I'm just saying, at that time...
that was what is vogue.
Today you have your passport to identify you. You have your BVN, etc. But they didn't have anything like that.
Picture, I have everything.
They didn't have pictures then, when they started.
Well, I don't think they started it on the note of identification. They just felt that this thing is good for our women. This thing is good for our boys. For instance, female genital mutilation. God did not prescribe it. No religious book prescribed it. It was just maybe one person. I feel they just sat down. Oh, if we don't circumcise our female, they will be promiscuous. They will just be jumping from man to man, you know. And let's checkmate them by chopping off that organ that they believe is the most sensitive part of a woman, whereas it is not. It is not. You know, experience has shown us, people's testimony have shown us that in a woman there are so many charging points. Yes.
Okay.
In fact, I got that word from our, you know, campaign efforts on radio and television. Someone just called and said, there are so many charging points on a woman.
Not only
the genitals that you are chopping off, that you are cutting off. You know, if you cut the genital, are you going to cut the breast?
No.
So we will touch their nipples, they are gone. Are you going to chop off the nipples? So touch the back of their hairs like this, they are gone. Are we going to scrape their hairs?
Or the tongue.
Or the tongue, Are we going to cut off? You know, they didn't know the implication of what they were doing.
Okay.
As I used to tell people, I said my father was not wicked. I have the best father in the world. if he knew that it will affect me negatively in one way or the other, my father would never dabble into it.
Like some other good fathers.
Good fathers, like some other good fathers.
That's the time.
And that's why our campaign effort is yielding dividends.
Okay.
You know, parents are now knowing because they didn't know.
Okay.
They did not know the implication. They did not know that this thing has no benefits. They thought it has benefits, but doesn't have benefits. Because those that we circumcise, they are the most promiscuous.
Evidence has been led to show that.
Yes, they are the most promiscuous. I give you an example. The Inter-African Committee conducted a survey many years back at Aduke Obelawo in Lagos among the commercial sex workers. We discovered that more than 90% of them, they were from one part of the country that I will not mention. And they were the ones that were into promiscuity. Okay. And if they are not circumcised, even before you give birth, you are pregnant and you are not circumcised until you become pregnant, before you give birth to your child, you must be circumcised.
Wouldn't it affect the little baby?
And even if you manage to escape that, if you die, they will circumcise you before they marry. In that part of Nigeria. And they are the ones that are into commercial sex work. They are the ones that, you know, and even here, those that we circumcise, we see how they enter and they find themselves carrying unwanted pregnancies. And we have circumcised them. Okay. So circumcision is not an antidote to promiscuity. Okay.
This program is not essentially a campaign. But I can understand you because it's an issue that bothers society. You have always been a campaigner, especially equality, gender equality. What is the difference between someone who is a feminist and who is the other who is a gender equality campaigner?
Let me start by saying that they are interwoven. But we can also separate them. All right. When we talk of feminism, feminism involved women fighting for the rights of women, women protecting the rights of women. We discovered that over the years, the rights of women were being, infringed upon. They were not being recognized as human rights. The human rights of women were treated as if they are lesser being, And so some people have to stand up and be their mouthpiece, speaking for them, being their voices, galvanize support for them to make sure that what ought to come to them gets to them. Yeah. You cannot pay me less because you can't pay me less because I am a woman. When we have responsibilities and we are involved in responsibilities, men and women alike, when there is benefits of that responsibilities, I must not be treated as if I am lesser than the person that is a male counterpart. We are talking about the rights of women. In the older days, women don't even have rights over their own body. Yeah. They don't have rights over their own body. They don't have rights over their properties. They don't have rights over their children. So many things like that. When you talk of education, there is particular area they can go. They cannot touch some other areas until people that are feminists rise up and say, this cannot continue. This cannot continue. What is good for the youth is also good for the other. So don't say because she's a woman, okay, well, no money to go to school, you sit down. Even when she's better academically than the male counterpart. And we can see the result of all the efforts of the feminine.
In those days, it was that the woman needed to be prepared for the kitchen.
They are meant for the other room.
The kitchen and the other room.
The kitchen and the other room. But you are saying no. And so when you talk of feminism, feminism is when you see women rising up to speak on behalf of women folk, that this thing cannot continue. Because if it continues, it will be like that. It means my daughter will, experience everything that I experienced in life. My granddaughter will do that. It cannot continue like that. So that is feminism. When you speak out for other women, like the other women of 1929, that are yachted, when there was excessive tax put on women in the north, they rose. They said, no, it cannot continue. About more than 10,000 of them went to the streets to protest. And then we have results. So it has been there. Feminists have been working to ensure women empowerment, women, mainstreaming into issues. But when we talk of gender, gender is a social construct. We construct it where through growing and growth and then interrelationship. When we were born, you see a boy and a girl walking and playing. They never knew whether you are different from
Ignorant.
me.
They didn't know anything.
As they grow up now, we now construct this gender. And we now assign responsibilities. There are some roles that are biological, that cannot be changed. Although science is proving us somehow now, we have a man now carrying pregnancy.
But it's always with challenges.
It's with challenges. There are some roles that are biological. A woman is the one that can carry pregnancy, that can breastfeed. A man can spoon feed. When you talk of gender roles, there's no role that a woman and a man cannot do. So gender campaign now is to ensure that in whatever we do, we put on our gender lens.
Gender lens, okay.
Gender lens. That this in my action or inaction and inaction, what impact will it have upon male and women, upon male gender and upon female gender? You look at it. When we want to do anything like we are in Western strength television, in your programs, I know you are gender-sensitive people in this media outfit. In whatever you do, you want to interview people, you want to bring up people, you want to set up committee. How many men, how many women? That's gender issue. Look at it. You don't put...
You have to be gender sensitive.
You have to be gender sensitive and gender compliance. You look at it. What percentage goes to male gender? What percentage goes to female gender? Even in appointment, even in employment, you look at it. That's what we are talking about. But because it was not so in the past. But the effort here, effort there, is what brought us to the level we are today. And we now discover that, these women that we are looking at as people that must be at the background, they have something to offer. They have brains. They went to school. They are enlightened. Why did you send me to school? My father sent me to school so that I can stand soldier to soldier. I can stand at far with the male, or the boys or men, But if I now go to school, I am enlightened and I am exposed, you want to treat me as if I am a lesser being? No. So that is what informed gender campaigning that we are doing. And the narratives are changing.
I want to know one or two. What challenges have you faced, and to what extent has percentage ratings? Are you satisfied with what you have? I know Oliver Twist's concept is always there, asking for more. How much has this been tamed?
Yes, we are not where we used to be. The first baseline survey that was done in Osun State in 1997-98. It's a national baseline survey of harmful and positive traditional practices. We discovered that Osun has the highest prevalence rate, 98.7%. But as a result of efforts that we put in, the support we get from development partners like UNFPA and UNICEF Joint Program, they really did one fantastic work in Osun here and some other states in Nigeria. So the prevalence rate is reducing by the day. today we have 45.9% as against 98.7% of them. You know, so they
are narrowing the gap.
We are narrowing the gap. We are narrowing the gap. The rate is going down. It is not as high, as very high as it was in the past. And thank God for all other, the support of everyone, including you, sir, including Rave FM, including Western television station, you know, the media, the youth, the civil society organizations, the NGOs, development partners, you know, plowing resources into it, making sure that we campaign, we speak out, we speak up against all those harmful traditional practices. So they are dying. Some are dying natural death.
Okay. Some are dying artificial death.
When I say natural death, for instance, the issue of female genital mutilation, you know, we have traditional circumcisers. Yeah. And then we have the medical people, the Jews, the patent medicine store, medicine people, they are the ones that are circumcising our children. But it is traditionally, that area is dying.
The Olola.
The Ololas. The old ones are dying, the younger ones are not so interested. So that's why I said some are dying naturally. Some are dying because of our efforts that we are putting in to campaign against them, to mobilize the people against the practice of female genital mutilation and every other traditional practices that are harmful to our development, to our living, to our every aspect of life.
Thank you. You have always, when I say you, people in your group, you talk about empowerment. What is empowerment? Why do you focus your empowerment on gender-based?
Empowerment is, you know, bringing people up from the level they are below to an appreciable level. Okay. You know, we said that in the olden days, women are at the background. Yeah. They are not to be here, to be heard. They are to be seen. They don't have a voice. But today, through empowerment, they can now talk. You know, not until recently, the issue of rape, people that are raped, the culture of silence kept them there. They are just passing through the agony, the brain trauma, you know. But now, because of empowerment, they are now speaking out. They are now speaking out. And because people are now speaking out, the rate of
rape.
That's not what I meant. People committing suicide.
All right.
It's going down because once you speak out your problem, it is half solved. Yeah. It is believed that it is half solved. So people now speak out to let them know that this rape thing, it happens everywhere, even in the house of God.
Yes. Yes.
Even among so-called men of God. When I say so-called, the men of God that are not real men of God, they are not men of God.
They are men of men.
They are men of men. They just call themselves men of God. They are men of men. You know, we now know that every church has to wake up. Pastors have to wake up. Parents have to wake up. You don't just leave your children in the hands of nobody. That everything can happen at any time. Even your female children, you have to open your eyes very well to ensure that nothing is going on under your nose in your own house. Father, you know, we have all those nonsensical behaviors going on. And so with empowerment, the society is now aware of it. Yeah. We now see that it's a societal problem. Societal problem. In fact, there was a time they declared a state of emergency. And Sokoto, I think Sokoto is now promulgated a law that if you rape, they will castrate you. Just to let them know that raping is bad. You are destroying life. The life of that God so much plays high premium on. You are just destroying them, maiming them, killing them while they are alive. And so that's part of empowerment. And it has to be gender-based because we now have male that have been raped.
Okay, by women.
By women. But the rates, you can't compare it.
Yeah, very
minimal. Very minimal.
Because it is women, very few of them.
Very few of them.
Who do that.
Male also rape male.
Yeah, because today the world has gone
to something else.
Yes.
To something else. So it has to be gender-based. Based on the prevalence rates amongst gender. Some has to be gender-based, some are not gender-based. For instance, now when you are talking about boys going to school, you go to the East to campaign it. You know, it's a gender issue.
Yeah.
When you
because
talk of,
they are not going to school much.
They are not going to school. They are into business.
Yes.
When you talk of girls going to school, you go to the north. So it has to be gender-based. I was going to Abuja one day, and we stopped over, and then I saw those boys and girls, beautiful girls. They were selling kuli. I said, why? You didn't go to school? The boy said, we went to school. Guys, they said, guys, don't go to school here. I said, why? They can become commissioner tomorrow. The boys laugh. They said, commissioner for kuli. Minister for kuli. You know, so that's why it has to be gender-based in some situations.
Yeah. Well, we moving towards breaking the show up. Just one last question on that. Are you getting those I will call, because it must be based on volunteerism. Are the young men and women today volunteering to serve the way some of you elderly have served?
Well, we have some of them. We have some of them that are serious, the serious type. We have them volunteering with NGOs, CSOs. We have some at Value Female Network, very vibrant NGO in Osun State, recognized worldwide. You know, we have some of our female and male youths serving there. We have some with VAS, Value Reorientation and Community Empowerment Organization, VAS. We have some there. We have them all over. But the largest percentage of our youth, they are not ready to do any for volunteering. You know, they want money, quick money, easy money, which is not it. Exposure can take you to any level. Exposure. If you have right exposure, it can take you to any level. But that kind of exposure they don't want. The exposure they are interested in is the one that will bring a quick money, instant money.
Well, maybe later on the show you will have the opportunity to talk to them, because it will give you an opportunity to talk to young boys and girls, especially in this new year. That will be much later. For now, we'll go on break. We have ended with part 1 of our presentation. The part 2 will come. Don't you forget, as a viewer, I have with me in the studio Mrs. Aduke Obelawo, a gender empowerment, a feminine crusader, a mother, and an award winner. Is a multiple award winner in the field, one of which is the African Hero Award presented by the Global Skill Hub, United Kingdom. We'll be back. Thank you very much.
Aminatu, the legendary queen of Zazzau, is best known to historians as Queen Amina of Zaria, an old world town and capital of the Hausa state of Zazzau. Amina was a great warrior and the first woman to rule the ancient kingdom of Zazzau. Her 34 years as queen witnessed an unprecedented expansion of Zazzau by conquest. Queen Amina of Zaria belongs to the class of Amazons by the might of her army and her strings of conquests. She opened Zaria to trans-border trade and was said to have initiated kola nut cultivation in the ancient kingdom. the Hausa Muslim figure, was born in 1533 and died in 1610 at the age of 77 years. Folklores remember Aminatu, the Queen of Zazzau, as a brave, smart and talented leader, whose giant statue now adorns the National Arts Theatre in Lagos, Nigeria, while many educational institutions bear her name. Western Spring Television identifies Queen Amina as a watershed character in history. Fumilayo Ransom Kuti was an educationist and advocate of women's rights. She was recognized for her vitriolic comments against colonial policy of taxation as it affected the Nigerian women. Bere, as fondly addressed by her women followers, Fumilayo championed the initiation of universal adult suffrage, which gave an unprecedented leeway for women to contest elective offices and power to exercise voting rights. Married to a foremost educationist and teacher, Israel Oladoto Ransom Kuti, the first president of Nigeria Union of Teachers, Fumilayo Ransom Kuti was the mother of children who inherited her spirit of activism. Olufela and Be Ololari, the former, a renowned musical legend. She was the first female student of Abeokuta Grammar School and the first female to own and drive a car in Nigeria. The award recipient of Member of Order of Nigeria MON and Lenin Peace Prize, was born 25th October 1900 and was killed on the 13th April 1978 by rampaging road soldiers in Lagos. Western Spring Television identifies Fumilayo Ransom Kuti as a watershed character in history.
Welcome back to the second part of our presentation today. In the studio with me is my guest, whom I described much earlier, the beginning as a lady of many parts. One part of that you have already seen, a women's empowerment crusader, a giant one who has been winning awards in all those fields. This second half of our presentation will focus on Mrs. Aduke Obelawo as the project officer in charge of information, education, communication, and training at Osun Community and Social Development Agency. We'll also have a way of looking at her talk about her role as a pastor. That will be much later on. CSDA is a community development-based outfit. You are the lady in charge of project, in charge of information, education, communication, and training. What is community development? How does your establishment encourage it?
Community development is a community empowerment.
Okay.
Community development is when there is provision of social infrastructural facilities in the communities that can make the lives more meaningful to the rural dwellers. Any efforts that is carried out in a given community to ensure that the lives of the dwellers are made better is known as community development. Community development is empowering community in such a way that they are able to take their own development in their hands. You know, that is community development.
Okay. Recently, your organization marked Community Day in Osun State. It's just about 2 weeks old. The governor sent in a representation in the person of the deputy governor. It looks like you do these things annually. What statement do you always want to make yearly in this carnival-like presentation that you present to the people?
So many statements. For instance, the Community Development Day celebration is an avenue for communities to come together to have community cohesiveness. You know, is an avenue to give feedback.
Okay.
For instance, our own agency now, we are agency of government, of state government, being supported by the World Bank. And then when we intervene in communities and we have results, Community Development Day is an avenue for us to showcase results. You know, if you say, God sees me, let men also see you.
Okay.
Is an avenue for us to let people know that the money that is being plowed into the agency to assist communities really get to communities, and communities, they didn't swallow it.
Okay.
They use the fund released to them to carry out their projects that are their fitness. Projects that are their fitness, because the system we use is known as community-driven development approach, wherein the community at the center. We put them at the center. You know, it is they that will tell us what they lack.
Not you, the authorities, telling them.
Not the authority, not the state government. The community are the one that will say, okay, this is what we lack in our communities, and this is the order we wanted it. So when we assist them, and they put in those things that we can call as output. The outcome is the effect of the output in their lives. No, so we cannot just keep on telling people that we did this, it has brought about this. Nobody will call him or herself, you know, poor marks. So, but let the beneficiaries come together and then interact with them. Before the Community Day of this year, we call the media. Go and meet the Torah inside the stadium. Go and ask whatever question we want to ask the community. Go and ask them. Go and hear from the horse's mouth. And you were there, sir. You saw how happy they were. You saw how they are singing praises about, about the government. So they are not rented crowd. They are people that have benefited. They are people that appreciated the work that the state government is doing in their various communities. So it's an avenue for feedback. It's an avenue for encouragement. You know, to encourage them to take their development in their hands. The government cannot help them for forever. It can't be a forever thing. The government is there. There are so many things at the table of the government. But when they are encouraged, that with light that you have in your community, with the water you have in your community, with the school to raise your children, your life must continually be better. So what is your role, your responsibility? Is a way of letting them know. It's a way of getting their, getting them being more committed, to be more committed. And it's a way of saying thank you to God and thank you to the funders. Okay,
you mentioned in passing that I was there. Yes, I was there, and I want to use the opportunity to thank the entire organization for celebrating me on that day and inviting the Deputy Governor to assist me in cutting the cake.
Yeah, a man of honor anytime.
Thank you.
So when you now talk of your birthday, falling into that day, you left your comfort zone to come and do your own, your responsibility to the community. You must be appreciated. I thank God for our governor, thank God for the deputy governor and the commissioners that were there and they celebrated you. You are a celebrity anytime.
Thank you. We are proud of you, sir. Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. The community contribution, before long, in the last few years, it used to be 10%. Now we know it as a matter of fact that it's been reduced to 5% as an incentive to them. How has this affected communities coming to you for one project or the other?
Thank you so much. you know, the community counterpart contribution
yes,
was reduced from 10% to 5% because of the kind of program we are doing now. It's an emergency program, you know, to cushion the effects of COVID-19. The project we are doing now is known as CARES. CARES, COVID-19 Action Recovery and Economic Stimulus. And so if you say we want to reduce the impact of COVID-19, then community cannot be asked to come up with 10% again. Let it be reduced. So the authority at the World Bank at the federal level, they reduce the counterpart contribution to 5% so that community can be able to afford it. And the implication of that is that we have so many expressions of interest on our table now, more than 1,000 on our table. People that are begging us, come to Macedonia and help us. We need your intervention in our communities. Yeah. You know, different, even the projects that are not within the scope that we are looking at under Osun CARES. You know, that some projects are not there, like electricity is not there, civic center is not there. People are still bringing expression
because you
expression
for
of interest.
Many years you were running.
We were running all those things. So many communities that doesn't have light, they are pressurizing. Those are those.
You carry their plans to government.
So I thank God for the government that we have. They have hearing here.
Okay.
And they are doing good.
Time is not on our side, but I still have, I mentioned that and described you as a woman of many parts. One of them is the fact that you are a pastor heading a church, Victory Life Ministry. Where is your center?
I'm the location minister at Victory Chapel, Abere.
Good. The question is, do men feel free to come under your ministration today, in all honesty?
Thank you so much, sir. What is important, what I saw in it is that people that are called by God are different from people that call themselves.
By men.
By men. You know, when you carry grace and you carry anointing, and people are under your ministration, and their lives are being transformed, they will be forced to cooperate. They are
getting what they want. From God, through God.
Through God. They see, there is a physical thing. The effect is seeable, you know. So they respected me, and I'm getting maximum cooperation. Initially, you know, they were women. How can a woman lead a church? But when they saw results, only a proof would deny proofs. So, so when they see the work that God is doing, I thank God for the assembly where I am pastoring. They are fantastic people. They are good people.
You're a great woman, and, that's why I call you the hard bargainer.
Thank you, sir. And let me tell you this. The effect of the church in the community is being felt by all. The Kabiyesi Alabere of Abere did his 1 year remembrance of his coronation towards the tail end of last year. He chose our church. He came to our church to do Thanksgiving. He's a Muslim. He is a Muslim.
But he has heard much of the impact of the church under the administration of a lady.
So he has to come. It was a very great event.
Good. We thank God. You are a mother and a grandmother. The world, our nation. Tell your grandchildren and sons and daughters, put them the year 2024. It will be our last question. What challenge? How do you want them to see their country and face the challenges coming?
Thank you, sir. I like to talk to the youth out there at this juncture to be very patient and be focused. Don't cut corners. If you cut corners, you are cutting short your life. So be focused. Develop yourself. If there is no white-collar job, there are so many things you can be doing to keep your life, you know, alive, you know, and to better your lot. Don't look for shortcuts. Have God. Go to God. You know, they say go to God. To me, I'm going to say go to God. Go to God. Enlist yourself in the ministry of God.
And there are many ministries.
And many ministries, you know, so that your capacity is built. The Church of God, the religious center, be it mosque or church, they are a place of reformation, a place of empowerment, a place of exposure, a training center. Once you are trained and you are channeled into the right path in life, you can never fail.
Right.
You can never derail. Align yourself in the ministry of God, in the work of God. Be closer to God. Don't shun every peer group influence that can turn you to something else that God has not made you to. You have the potentials. Youth, they have the potentials. They have the energy. You know, channel it right and be focused and be patient.
I'd like to thank you very much.
And believe in that there is dignity in labor.
Thank you very much. This is not this is studio and not a pulpit. But thank you. That has been a lady of so many parts, as I described her, Mrs. or Pastor Mrs. I can now call her so, Aduke Obelawo.
Thank you so
Project
much,
Officer in charge of information, education, communication, and training at Osun State Community and Social Development Agency, CSDA, and a woman empowerment campaigner. Thank you very much. That's about all we can afford to bring you on today's edition, which is, from my own perspective, the maiden edition. We have so many weeks to come. The year 2024 has just begun. This is week number 2. We will see you subsequently. I'm Adetoyese Shitu Alamu, thanking you for being with us. Goodbye for now. God bless us all in the new year.
Yes, sir.